There's a big run on EIDL loans as people fear that a second stimulus package could get delayed. Hey, good evening, everybody. This is LALATE. Thanks for tuning in and joining us for Evenings with LALATE. This one's about EIDL loans and grants, which surprisingly last night delivered the most watched EIDL loan video of this channel ever. What's going on? If you have not realized, a lot of people are now rushing to grab EIDL loans, which they have never done before, because they fear the pandemic is getting worse and they are worried the second stimulus package won't help them enough. These are the details. This channel, of course, back in April, started with EIDL grants and loans. By May, we were talking about grants and we were talking about loans, and we were dealing with people that had processing errors with those applications. By June, the application, and July, the application was relaunched and opened to all non-ag businesses. So we had another surge of people who were generally looking for grant money. A few were looking for loan money. But what's happening this week I had never seen before. There is a new surge of people who are surging to look for loans that are easy to get to help their businesses through this pandemic, which they would never have taken before because they fear the pandemic is going to get worse. Here's what this video is for. In a manner in which I would never think I would be doing, I'm going to be going over how to apply for an EIDL loan, because I've literally been answering that question for people in the private a lot in the last 3 days. If you've not seen, the success of the private has really gone overboard. I launched the private about, I think it was maybe a week and a half ago. We now have 2 mentors. Yesterday we had done 10 new EIDL loans approved. The surge of people going into the private is really growing. There's about 800 people in there, but a lot of people are new EIDL applicants. These are not people who are stuck for months. These are not people who are stuck since June. These are literally people who applied in the last few weeks of July. So let me go over how you apply for an EIDL loan. And this is also very helpful if you apply for an EIDL loan but didn't apply for your other business. That right now. First of all, when you apply for an EIDL loan, there are 2 types of businesses that can apply. A business that's actually a business 500 employees or less, which has an EIN, has a business name, has a business address, has a business account, or an individual self-employed or independent contractor. Examples of independent contractor are Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, and that would be under your social security number, your name, your address, your bank account. How do you do this and how do you go through it? So a lot of you have both situations. Let me give you an example. There are people that, might own their own hair salon, but on the side are Uber Lyft drivers. So the hair salon would be the first example, which I'm going to use with this hand, the EIN example. And the Uber Lyft would be this hand is going to be the social security number. When this channel first launched in April, our big success was showing one big mistake, which was people were making mistakes on their application. We got that fixed for them. We showed them that fix. They got their loans approved. Now that we have a lot of new viewers, we're like at 119,100 tonight. Can you subscribe and let's get to 120 tonight? I mean, that's a much better number than 119 and 100. It's just, we don't really need like 900 of you. When we were a smaller channel, we were helping that. Well, all these new viewers coming in, so I want to ensure that you do this correctly. And when I say you, I have a lot of people that are reaching out that are now their cousins or their nephews or their neighbors because they got a loan, and the other family members thinking I should get a loan. Let me go through this. I'm going to use both examples and I'm going to go through each of the steps for each example. So get a pen and paper out and make alerts to whether you are this hand or that hand. Again, this hand is a business with an EIN. This is an independent contractor, self-employed with a social security number. And you can be both. I mean, you can do both applications, just can't do them together. They don't go together. All right, the first page of the Streamline application, which you get at SBA.GOV, and it's live. And by the way, there's no more grant money, so don't be asking me about that. There's no grant. This is just for loans. It will ask you, which one are you? This hand, you click the button that says 500, a business, because it's a business, 500 employees or less. I mean, if you have more than 500 employees, you can't be applying for this. This hand, you click the button that says self-employed independent contractor. That's your button. Then it's going to ask you a series of questions. That's the same questions for everyone. You go to page 2 of the Streamline application. There it's going to ask for names. It's going to ask for the name of the business. This one is Beauty Supply LLC. It's not Mary James. It's Beauty Supply LLC. This one is your name, Mary James. So make sure you don't mess that up. The next one is going to ask, is this a LLC? Is it an S Corp? Is it a self-employed? Is it an independent contractor? Okay, so Mary Beauty Supply LLC. I got to remember the name of the business. Mary Supplies LLC is what I'm going with. That's an LLC. So you choose LLC. Now, if you have an S class classification or C class corporation, choose whatever is applicable for you. For Mary, individually, it's just individual self-employed or independent contractor. A lot of viewers are asking, which one are you? Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, independent contractor. You don't get paid by the guy that gets in your backseat of your car and talks about his girlfriend at 1 o'clock being so difficult to him. You get paid by Uber. So that's why you're an independent contractor. Then it's going to ask numbers. So on this one, you put EIN. If you don't have an EIN, there's something wrong. You have to have had an EIN if you're actually in a business. On this one, you put social security number. Next, it's going to ask for banking account information. I get this all the time. So it's going to ask for the banking account information. For the business, it has to be a business, and this is so important. And please, please do this. And 900% of the time, people just mess this up, and I don't know why they mess this up. You can't mess this thing up. This is a business. It's going to ask for the business account number. This has to have the same account name as the application. So Beauty Supply, Betty's, keep on forgetting the name of the business, Betty's Beauty Supplies LLC. The banking account name has to say Betty's Beauty Supply LLC. It can't say John Schwartz, because it'd be like, what is that? It has to be lined up. It'll ask for the routing number and the account number. Now, please understand, and this just seems so Captain Obvious, but apparently it's not. Routing numbers are different for checking accounts versus savings accounts. They're different for, LLC accounts versus, they're different. So if you aren't positive about the routing number, call up the bank, write it down. Please don't mess it up. I get literally 30 people a week that have messed up the routing number. It's a very common thing. Don't mess it up. If you mess up numbers, it literally will block you from getting a loan. It's as simple as that. If you put a 6 instead of a 9, you won't get a loan. If you miss the 6 and just leave it blank and have 1 digit missing, you won't get a loan. If you invert numbers, you won't get a loan. It's that simple. These are all computer processes. Okay, next it's going to ask on this one. So on this one, it's going to be your personal account under your name, your personal checking, or your personal savings. Next, oh, by the way, if you don't have a business account, just go out and get one. There's nothing wrong with that. Just go out and get a business account. Next is going to ask for financials. And this one is the most obvious, but some people seem to not grasp this. It's going to ask for gross revenue. Okay, so for this person, I'm going to go off of 1120S. I'm assuming that's like an S Corp, whether it's an LLC designated as S Class S classification, or it's an Inc. and it's an S corp. I mean, you may be an LP, but I'm just doing 1120S for purposes of example. It doesn't matter because it's generally at line 1. You want to pull up your 2019 return, look at line 1, and it's generally line 1A, B, or C. It's generally line C that has gross revenue. That is the number you're going to put in the form. Now, if you didn't file 2019 returns, you were supposed to. If there's a mistake in your 2019 returns, I'm sorry, you have to go off the 2019 returns. If you're doing a big business now and your 2019 numbers were bad, I'm sorry, that's what they're asking. For individual, you're going to use your Schedule C for gross revenue. So you go to Schedule C, line 1C, I think, 1C, I think it is. Generally, there's like an A, and then there's a B, and then the C is the summation of A and B. If there's no C, it's just one, line 1. All right, next it's going to ask cost of goods sold. That is line 2 on both this return and this return. It's always line 2. Now, a lot of you, I did a lot of videos back in the day about cost of goods sold. A lot of you bickered with me. A lot of you, I don't know if you're even, I don't think those viewers are still with me. They were just bickering people. They bickered me with cost of goods sold. They spun the story about cost of goods sold. Listen, SBA is asking for what's on that line item number 2, line 2 on your 2019 return. There's no spinning to it. You can spin it as much as you want to. I'm not going to spin that game with you. You go spin the bottle with a girl or whatever you want to spin the bottle with. I'm not spinning that game with you. It's line 2. Now, if line 2 is 0, it's 0. If line 2 is $100,000, it's $100,000. I don't want you to tell me, oh, cost of goods sold is really different than my tax return because it's this. No, they're asking for what's on the tax return. They're literally asking for that. So then you're going to go through the process. You're going to answer a series of questions, and that's it. Guess what? If you do this very, very cleanly, and there's no confusion, the business has been in existence since at least 2019. The account number is all verifiable. They can verify the EIN. They can verify you. Guess what? You can literally get a loan within 24 hours. If you didn't watch yesterday's video, I got a loan for someone in 6 hours. He did this one with me in the middle of the night because we had already gotten his business account, and he didn't know. He's like, I have an Airbnb business. I do, like, it was about 5 figures a year, not an enormous amount of money, but it was enough to get a loan. And so he said, "Can I go do that?" I said, "Sure, you can go do that." So he did it at about 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The next morning, he had a loan offer. Literally had a loan offer. He accepted, and it was accepted on their side. So it wasn't like it was nothing. Now, if you're starting this process with me, and if you're an existing viewer, you know about what I'm about to say next, and this is so important. EXPERIAN VANTAGE 3.0. I literally say this to everyone. I just have a big sign over my head that says EXPERIAN VANTAGE 3.0. You are going for a loan, and by going for a loan at any moment of the process in which you're waiting for the loan, you need to know your EXPERIAN VANTAGE 3.0 score. The problem is the following. For example, that viewer that I just referred to, I told him look it up while we're doing it. He looked it up. His EXPERIAN VANTAGE score 3.0 score was something. It was over the threshold. I said, perfect, they'll approve the loan. You don't want to start doing an application, which I just said to you, and you don't know what your credit score is. Let me explain to you, and this is especially for new viewers, and actually for returning viewers. They pull all credits. So they pull both the business EIN's credit score and your personal credit score just by whoever is applying. So if for the business, on this hand, they're going to pull both the credit score of the business and your personal score. On this one, they're going to just pull your personal credit score. What you need to know is there is a hard and long, fast rule in this current state now, this month. It was not there back in April when I was doing videos. It wasn't there in May. I know a lot of you sometimes find old videos and watch old videos. Things have changed. So stay with me for the most current situation now on this channel. There's a hard, fast rule, 580-ish, but I recommend viewers to be at 590. The reason why I recommend 590 is when they do a hard pull, it drops your credit score by about 9 points. So be about at 590. Experian Vantage 3.0. You call up Experian, you download the app. There's a free thing called the Boost that'll raise your credit score by 20 points. But if you're doing an application after watching this video, don't submit it. Don't press send. Don't hit the button yet until you look up your Experian Vantage 3.0 score. It may only take a few minutes to look it up. And if it's over 590, then send it. If it's not over 590, don't send it. You're going to get a denial. It's as simple as that. Now, everyone else that's watching this video who's not applying for a new loan but is in the loan process, I say the same thing. At any date that you're in this loan process, you need to know what your Experian Vantage 3.0 score is, because you're somewhere between getting a stuck loan approved or a recon reversed. You need to know that. Ultimately, there's a lot more of you joining us for Evenings with LALATE and EIDL loans, so welcome. Yesterday's video was just gangbusters. Join me tomorrow morning for Mornings with LALATE, and have a great evening.